Alright, I used a random Pokemon generator to decide a random Pokemon that has to solo run a game with. I actually live commentated the generating, so here's that. Okay, so for this challenge, I'm going to be randomly generating a Pokemon from any region, and I'm going to be using it to solo run a Gen 5 Pokemon game. Now, obviously, if it hits Gen 6, 7, or 8, I can't do that, so if it hits those, I'll just reroll it again. But on the options are literally everything. There's Ubers, there's not fully evolved, there's anything I could ever imagine, right? So if I get a not fully evolved, I am not allowed to evolve it. And if I get an Ubers, then I'm about to have a fantastic time. So let's go ahead and see what our Pokemon is. It is going to be Banette. Banette versus Gen 5. I could do that. I'm down for that. I'm kind of vibing with Banette, I'm not gonna lie. It's fully evolved too, so that's pretty nice. I think we're gonna have to go with Banette. I mean, I have to. It randomly generated. I can't reroll. That's cheating. Therefore, let's get it. Gen 5 with Banette. Now, as typical with solo run challenges, the rules are pretty simple. 1, I can only use Banette in battle. And 2, I cannot use items in battle. I can use held items, but I can't use any like potions, no X items, no anything like that. The game that I chose for this challenge is Pokemon Black because I wanted to do Gen 5, and that is a Gen 5 game. And then I used the Universal Randomizer to set the starter to Banette, and now the challenge begins. I chose Banette, and because it was a ghost type, it was actually immune to both Bianca and Sharon starters, so I could beat them pretty easily with Knockoff and Nightshade. I then named Banette 3 Spooky 5 Me, which is a god tier name by the way, and went to the next town to battle N. N's Purloin also only has normal moves, so I could beat that pretty easily as well. Then there was another battle against Bianca, but I could beat her pretty easily with Screech and Knockoff. And then another battle against Sharon, who I beat pretty easily with Nightshade Spam. And with all those battles out of the way, it was now time for the first gym. In my first try, I actually got kind of bodied by the Bite Lillipup, but on the second try, I did manage to beat it with Screech and Knockoff. And then after living on 2 HP, I barely managed to beat the Panpour with Nightshade, winning the Trio badge. And at this point, I did need an HM sleeve for cut, so I grabbed the free Pansage from the NPC in the Dream Yard. Now, this was purely for cut, I'm not using it in any battles, so don't worry about that. Except, after beating the Plasma Guards in the Dream Yard, there was a double battle where Pansage did hit the field, but I just used Leer and Nightshade, so it didn't really matter. There was another Sharon battle, but Nightshade beat him pretty easily, so there's not much to really talk about there. Then there were a few more Plasma battles, and then I got the TM for Thief, which is twice as strong as Knockoff, so I taught it to Banette. In the next battle against N, I beat his Pidove with Thief and Tidpool with Nightshade, and fortunately, his third Pokemon was a Timber, which couldn't touch me, or I probably would have lost. It was now time for the second gym. I actually wasn't even able to get past one of the trainers Herdier because it could two-shot me with Bite, so I had to go grind. I went to level 20, learning Shadow Stick as well, and being level 20 allowed me to beat all the trainers and get to Lenora. However, Lenora was a different story. So her Herdier has Intimidate, which weakens Thief, and then Bite could 3-shot Banette before I could even knock out Herdier. And no matter what I tried in any given attempt, I could never get past even the Herdier, so I had to go grind again. I grinded to level 25, learning Will-O-Wisp, which I dropped Screech for, and at level 25 with Will-O-Wisp, I was able to have Herdier's damage with the burn, and take it out with Thief, but then her Watchog has Crunch, and could beat me every single time. I tried a couple times with an Oranberry because I can use health items, but no matter what I tried, I could literally just never beat Watchog. And then I saw on Cerebi that Banette learns Feint Attack at level 28, so I got to level 28, learned Feint Attack, and tried again. And then thankfully at level 28, I could two-shot both Herdier and Watchog with Feint Attack, finally winning the basic badge. Hey yo, if you are enjoying the video so far and you want to see some more lit challenge videos in the future, be sure to subscribe if you are not already, and maybe leave a like as well, or maybe a comment, because comments are pretty cool too. So after Lenore, there were a few Team Plasma battles, but then it was basically immediately time for the third gym. And by the time I got there, I was kinda over-leveled, being level 30, and being such a high level, it made it super easy to sweep all 3 of Berg's Pokemon, winning the Insect badge. And then immediately after Berg was a battle against Bianca. Her only threatening Mon was Herdier, and I knocked it out with Feint Attack, and with that down, Munna, Servine, and Panpour all went down without issue. And then right after Bianca was a battle against Sharon, because there are like a million rival battles in this game. So because I'm still pretty over-leveled, I was able to pretty easily beat Sharon, and then there was a battle against N. His Sandal got crit and Oakwood from full, and his Scraggy swaggered me before going down as well. Then at +2, I could one-shot Laromaka, and then his Sigilif whirlwinds me into my HM Slave Pansage. Alright, I let Pansage get knocked out by Sigilif, and then I went back into Banette and one-shot the Sigilif. Fortunately, I don't think Pansage had an effect in the battle, so I'm not going to consider it breaking any rules. And with all of those rival battles out of the way, it was now time to battle Elisa. Her team was really annoying. Okay, so turn 1, I weaken her Emolga as it Volt Switch into another Emolga, then I weaken that Emolga as it Volt Switch into the first Emolga, then I knock out the first Emolga, and then I get paralyzed by static, and then I get fully paralyzed and end up losing to the Zebstrika. However, on the second attempt, I used Nightshade instead of Shadow Sneak to avoid static, and it actually worked. I could beat all 3 other Pokemon without issue, winning the Bolt Badge. Believe it or not, it was now time for another rival battle. Let's go, gamers! This time, it was against Sharon. I actually lost my first try because the Liepard tormented me, so I couldn't fan attack with Tranquil. But on the second try, Liepard never went for Torment, so I beat him pretty easily. After that, I bought a few plasma grunts in the cold storage, and it was time to take on Clay. Clay was annoying. So he leads off with this Krokorok, right? And if it swaggers me, it would cause me to 2-shot myself every single time. And if it doesn't swagger me, it would have my HP with Crunch, and then I can't beat the Excadrill. Eventually, though, I get a God tier run where I get Swagger and then snap out of Confusion, and then that let me get to Excadrill with over 80 health remaining, allow me to beat it with Will-O-Wisp and Shadow Sneak. It took like 20 attempts, but I got lucky, winning the Quake Badge. And as typical, it was now time for another rival battle, this time against Bianca. For some reason, like 90% of the moves she went for were useless status moves, so I could beat her without any issues. I then beat all the grunts in Chargestone Cave, and it was now time for another battle against N. His entire team was just a bunch of trash from Chargestone Cave, so he wasn't much of a threat. Then, in Celestial Tower, I got a spell tag to boost my ghost type moves, and I teamed for Shadow Claw, which instantly replaced Shadow Sneak. With those god tier buffs, it was now time to take on Skyla. Her lead Swoobat, 1-shot by Shadow Claw. Her Unfazant, 2-shot by Fan Attack. And her Swanna, her ace Pokemon, believe it or not, got 1-shot by Shadow Claw, winning the Jet Badge. Then there was another battle against Sharon. I did actually almost lose because it was winter in game, so I almost lost to hail damage. But thanks to my newly acquired Shadow Claw, his mons got kinda railed. Alright, I made my way through Twist Mountain, and now it was time for Bryson. And I 1-shot all 3 of his Pokemon with Shadow Claw. Okay, a little bit anticlimactic, but I won the Freeze Badge. After Bryson, there was a bit of story stuff with Zekrom, and then I caught a Woobat for Fly, and then I caught a Ducklet because I could learn both Fly and Surf, and I released the Woobat because I didn't really need it anymore. The next bit of story was in Relic Castle, but it was just a few grunts, so there's not much to really talk about there. On the way to Opeloused City, there was another battle against Bianca. The first battle, I got destroyed by Stoutland, and then I tried a few more times, and eventually I decided to swap my held item to Black Glasses to boost Fan Attack. With the added damage from those, I was able to get through Stoutland pretty easily, and then with Stoutland down, the rest of her team was pretty easy to 1-shot or 2-shot, beating her without issue. Bianca down, it was now time for the final gym leader, Drayden. His Fracture got 1-shot by Shadow Claw, and then I misclicked Nightshade against Dradagon, causing me to get hit by Night Slash. I knocked out Dradagon, and his last Pokemon was Haxorus. Now, I thought it was all over at this point, but fortunately, I outsped, and surprisingly, I managed to 1-shot it with Shadow Claw, beating Drayden on my first try, winning the Legend Badge. Then, on the way to Victory Road was the final battle against Sharon. His Unfazant railed me with a crit on the first try, but on the second try, I knocked out Unfazant with Fan Attack, and then 1-shot the rest of his team with Shadow Claw, thanks to a lucky crit on Liepard. I made my way through Victory Road, and now it was time for the Pokemon League. I put the HM Slates in the PC because I wouldn't need them anymore, and then I decided to take on the league immediately at level 65. Alright, so the first member I took on was Chantal. Her Cofagrigus, 1-shot by Shadow Claw. Her Jellicent, 1-shot by Shadow Claw. Her Chandelure, 1-shot by Shadow Claw. But her Golurk, however, got 1-shot by Shadow Claw. Let's go. Alright, in all seriousness, I had the advantage there, so that battle was, bound to be pretty easy. The next member I took on was Marshall. I Shadow Claw Throw, and it does over half damage to me with Payback. And because of that, I burned the Sock to avoid taking damage, but it ended up missing Stone Edge anyways. I then knock out Sock with Shadow Claw, but then it's called Keldor brings me to Red HP with Stone Edge, and then I knock it out with 2 more Shadow Claws. Very fortunately, I outsped Mienshao and 1-shot it with a crit Shadow Claw, barely beating Marshall. The third member that I took on was Caitlyn. In a very similar fashion to Chantal, I was able to 1-shot her Reuniclus, Musharna, Sigilif, and Gothitelle, all with Shadow Claw, because I once again had a pretty significant advantage, so it was bound to happen. But where I do not have an advantage is against the final Elite Four member, Grimsley, a Dark-type trainer. I tried many times, but no matter what I did, I could never get past even 2 of his Pokemon. I went to grind and I came back at level 80, which is a really big jump, I know, but I felt like it was kind of needed, so. At level 80, I could take out the Scrafty with 2 Shadow Claws, but for some reason it has Sand Attack and its moves at level 48, so at that point I would end up losing half my battles to missing all my moves. And when I did land my moves, Nightshade was a 2-hit KO on Crocodile, but Foul Play does 90% of my HP every single time, and at that point I would lose to either the Liepard or the Bisharp guaranteed. After a few failed tries, I gave Bayonet the Bright Powder, hoping to dodge some attacks. And on my very first try with Bright Powder, I dodged Crunch and knocked out Scrafty without taking any damage. And then I dodged a Night Slash from Liepard as well, but I still lose to Bisharp, but I did learn that the strat could work. Eventually, I realized that I needed a way to dodge the Foul Play from Crocodile guaranteed, or the RNG that was needed was way too impossible. So, I taught Bandit Substitute. Now, between Substitute and Bright Powder, as long as I could dodge a Crunch from Scrafty, I could get past the Crocodile every single time with 75% of my health remaining. However, at that point, I had to dodge either Liepard or Bisharp's Night Slash, or I would still lose. So, let's say in 10% of attempts, I would get past the Crocodile. I then needed to rely on a super low chance to dodge after that, basically give me like a 1% chance to win the battle. Not exactly, because I'm not a mathematician, but close enough. Eventually, after literally over 100 attempts, I get the luck that I needed, and I dodge Metal Claw from Bisharp, knocking it out with Nightshade, finally beating Grimsley. And now it was time for the final event of the game. I summoned forth Blue Eyes White Dragon, which I was forced to actually lead off with against N, which I didn't realize. So I swap it out turn 1, and it caused me to take a Bolt Strike. I managed to knock out Zekrom, but then I lose to Crunch and Aqua Jet from Caracosta. In the second try, though, I was not forced to lead off with Reshiram, which is pretty cool. I was able to beat Zekrom and Caracosta with Shadow Claw this time, and then I one-shot Archeops as well with another Shadow Claw, but then I got bodied by Zoroark's Night Slash. On the next try, I get the luck of a god, and I dodge Caracosta's Crunch and Zoroark's Night Slash. Because of that, I was able to beat N's Vanillux and Klinkling pretty easily, beating him, and now it was time for the final battle of the game, Ghetsis. So I'm able to knock out both Cofagrigus and Electros with Shadow Claw, but then I try to spam Substitute against the Bisharp to dodge a Night Slash, but it lands them all, and then I end up losing. The second time around, I do take the Night Slash from Bisharp, and then I was able to knock it out, but at that point, I did not have enough HP to take out the Hydreigon. I tried going out this battle for a long time, but no matter what I did, I could never get past the Hydreigon. It took 3 hits to knock it out no matter what I did, so I grinded level 90 in hopes of being able to 2-shot it. And that was, in fact, what happened. At level 90, I could then 2-shot Hydreigon with Shadow Claw, and then I dodged a Wild Charge from Bouffalant, 2-shotting it with Bandit Sack. And his final Pokemon was Seismitoad, which I could 1-shot with Shadow Claw, beating Ghetsis. And that was me beating Pokemon Black with a Pokemon decided by a random generator. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like it in the future, maybe leave a like and maybe leave a comment with any ideas you might have, because I'm pretty bad at ideas myself and I can always use them. But for now, thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you all in the next video later.